What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I want to talk about some big news that just came out for the markets. It's very important. What the news is saying about Elon Musk and Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla, we saw this nice little rebound attempt in the morning. Tesla ended up testing our 50 EMA, and so far the market is holding up decently as we got some good news from the Bank of Japan. In case you guys didn't hear my previous videos, I mentioned that in Japan, many important officials have come out and they said that they're not planning on raising rates again, at least for the time being. The reason why that's important is because Americans were the ones who were borrowing all this money using Japanese currency. With interest rates going up, they had to repay that debt by liquidating a lot of their positions. That's part of why the market ended up seeing a big dip. It's also because of fear and many other recessionary factors that led the market to selling off. So, all these different factors and wars are why we saw this sell off. Now, as time went on, the market was trying to rebound. It was pushing for the first couple of hours of the day. And then we got a big rejection again, and the bears returned, showing signs that they are stronger and the bulls are weaker. So for Tesla, we ended up losing this 195 support, which is a bad sign for Tesla. To reclaim that, Tesla would have to break past its 1 hour 20 EMA by tomorrow, as this is kind of like trending downwards. And it's going to be kind of tough to do so, especially looking at this trend. And we are looking more bearish for Tesla SPY and the broader markets. So the question at this point is, what's going to happen to the market? What is my prediction? I'm going to give you guys some important levels and predictions a little bit later into this video. Let's first talk about some news and also what's happening with Elon Musk. So the first thing that's going on is in the whole situation with the Middle East, things are becoming a lot more intense right now. We're seeing attacks perpetuating, they're getting worse. And on top of this, there's been more and more warnings that there's more to come, more intensity. So it's very, very negative news. The market got a negative reaction to this. And I just want to say that, my heart goes out to all the innocent people who had nothing to do with the conflicts, who are paying the biggest cost. And it's horrible to hear this. All I could do is hope for peace. I could hope that as less people pass away as possible, and it's still having a big effect on the way the market's moving. Another big factor would be the data that's been coming out for Thursday, which is going to be tomorrow, August 8th, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims and continuing jobless claims coming out. I'll be watching this very carefully. Now, jobless claims will give us more insights on what the labor market is doing. The last time we got jobs numbers, we saw the market tank because unemployment was well above expectations. So this will give us more insights for unemployment. So get ready to see what happens with the jobless claims an hour before market open. Then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 4 and 8 week bill auctions coming out, not to mention Barkin giving a speech from the Fed. So there's going to be some volatility tomorrow thanks to data. Right now, there's a 71.5% chance the Fed gives us 50 basis points worth of cuts and a 28.5% chance we get 25 basis points worth of cuts based off what the market is pricing in. So this is what the market is expecting by September. We'll see if that ends up being the case or not. For more news, we basically had Shopify and Walt Disney announce their earnings and then Robinhood after market close. I'm just going to talk about Disney just very briefly one more time. And then for tomorrow, we have like Plug and then SoundCloud or SoundHound, excuse me, and a few others like Paramount. So we'll see how things go. But most earnings are kind of minor from this point. What happened with Disney was things were kind of mixed. Some good things came out, such as the fact they beat on EPS with $1.39 above expectations. Revenue was at 23.16 billion above expectations, and operating income was up 19% above expectations. However, they also announced that they're going to be increasing the price of their streaming platform, which is not too good news for them. And then their theme parks are a little bit lackluster right now. We're actually seeing the overall operating income below expectations, down about 6%. So some things were not too good, such as the fact that they're raising prices and then the theme parks aren't doing as well, but then earnings were still a beat. That's why the share price didn't move too much, but I just want to call that out for Disney. Disney isn't as strong as what it was before. You guys can really see how the interest rates are affecting it. For other factors, I just want to mention that the market is being led by fear. Extreme fear is making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum is also very fearful as we're losing our 125 daily moving average, which is not the best of signs, and we're still looking more bearish. On top of this, I just want to mention that the put and call option positioning is at extreme fear. Fear is making up sentiment, and we're starting to see a lot more shifts right now. So more puts are being bought, more shorts are continuing to pile into the markets, and that's part of why the market is dipping. The fear is still there. The VIX is also at extreme fear. This is going to have a big effect on the markets. I'll talk about this in just a minute. This could help us determine if the market's going to bottom. I'll talk more about that maybe in a later video in full detail, but I will briefly talk about that. And then finally, for news about Tesla, I just want to mention that things are not too great. The news is continuing to just hammer at Elon Musk again and again. I gave you guys my opinion on this 2 times already. Basically, Elon Musk is very outspoken. His politics does get in the way of Tesla to some extent. It stops some partnerships and it's caused a lot of companies to look down at Tesla. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world because you have to remember the much bigger picture is still very bright and bullish for Tesla. And Tesla's going to be fine without Costco, without any of these German companies and such. Tesla will be just fine with their innovation. So Elon Musk is a trade off. Yes, some things aren't the best for Tesla, but other things are still great. With the innovation that he's leading for AI and Optimus, Tesla has a very, very bright, bullish future, and I think he's doing a great job overall. I also think that the good outweighs the bad. The bad, as Elon Musk is one of the best CEOs on the planet still, based off his capabilities, his ability to hire people, work with engineers, and do what he does. So, yes, I think that Musk is more good than bad, but there are still some bad things that need to be at least addressed. For instance, many German companies don't want to partner with Tesla because of Elon Musk's politics. And then also, there's a lot of talk yesterday about the Costco in Taiwan that was wanting to sell Teslas, but the deal did not end up working out. It was not approved according to Musk. He just canned this program. Apparently, we don't know the exact reasons yet. So he's getting criticism for all of this. It is what it is, guys. I'm not here to say anything about that. I just want to say that that is the truth. So we'll see how things go. By the way, the tweet is right here if you guys can see it. Musk tweeted this right here. He just canned the program yesterday. It was not approved. Just wanted to call that out. So we'll see what happens with this. I mean, it's not the end of the world for Tesla, but I just wanted to give it some recognition. Cantor Fitzgerald still gives Tesla a neutral rating. The price price ratio is dipping because Tesla is showing some weakness compared to the market, and volume is dipping to about 70 million. So the question is, what's going to happen from this point on? What is my personal opinion of Tesla? Why on earth did I also call out to the VIX? I'll talk about all of that right now. So as far as Tesla goes, we got this big rejection, and we're looking more bearish from a technical standpoint. Just so you guys know, if you look at the 4-hour time frame and you zoom out, Tesla is still looking more bearish. If you look at this, we had this high right here, for instance, at 255. That was actually a lower high. Then we made a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then possibly a new lower low could be coming as the chart is still looking bearish. You can also see that Tesla likes to form these cups as it likes to reject. We had a cup here in rejection, cup here rejection, another cup here for potential rejection. So we're still looking bearish overall. We're still on a big downtrend for Tesla. Now, for the short term, Tesla was trying to rebound only to reject, and despite that, it wasn't really able to do so, so we still look bearish. Now, if just hypothetically, if you want to see Tesla rebound, there's 3 things to watch for. Number one, we got to get back above 195, break past our 20 EMA. If we break that, there's going to be an attempt to bounce. To turn bullish, you want to break past 200. This is going to be our 50 EMA. If we break past that 200 area, we could actually turn back up, but we got to close above that. All right, so those would be the more bullish cases if we were to achieve that. Break 195, we turn back up. Break 200, we turn bullish and close above it. If we're bearish, you want to see Tesla continue to fall where we're at. And if we don't reclaim this 192 area, we're going to likely dip all the way down to about the 187.5 area, if not the low 180s. So what is looking more favorable? What do I think is going to happen tomorrow? Honestly, guys, I think Tesla might continue to fall tomorrow all the way back down towards this imbalance, and we should be looking for a test of 187, if not 185. We got another rejection. We're looking more bearish, and the whole market is trying to dip. So I think that there is a risk of downside looking at this from a technical standpoint. Tesla is favoring the downside, especially as you look at the 4-hour time frame. It still looks more and more bearish. So the bears have the edge, in my opinion, for Tesla. Same thing with SPY, but we also have key levels to watch for just for confirmation. If we end up breaking past 518, we're going to likely retest 521. Okay, there's going to be a little push coming if we break that. To turn bullish, you want to break past 525. If we break that, then there could be an attempt to turn bullish. So watch those levels just for confirmation. If we continue to lose 515, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 510. And if that fails, we're going down to 506. Why 506? That's where the daily 200 EMA happens to be. If you look at the daily chart, we look pretty bearish in terms of this candle right here. And then we have our EMA at 506. So I do favor that being tested. So what's likely going to happen? What is my prediction, right? I gave you guys the levels to watch for, but here's my prediction. Tomorrow, I think that there's a risk of us testing 515. I think we might end up breaking it and starting to dip lower because we had this bear flag like structure and a break through that, and the trend is very bearish. So this favors the downside. Why? We had this high up here. We came down, made a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and we could be making a lower low. So the chart still looks bearish. Now, if the chart were to fall, I want to show you guys something else that does suggest it's a possibility. The VIX is looking a little bit more bullish. It's kind of turning right here. If we hold above 27.18 R50 EMA, there's a good chance we could be pushing it as we have this big gap to fill towards 37. Maybe the VIX is about to get another spike. But if the VIX spikes and we get a lower high, if this makes a lower high, we get like 40 instead of breaking the high that's all the way up here in the 60s. If we make a lower high and the market makes a lower low, that's going to suggest the market's about to bottom, in my opinion. So I think the market may be getting ready for that bottom soon. But once again, it depends on different factors. Just know there's a lot going on in the Middle East. There's a lot going on involving the Fed. Their market still is at risk of dipping lower. So this chart suggests downside spies favoring a move back down to 510, if not 506. That looks more favorable in my opinion. ES is telling us essentially the same thing. We got to reclaim 50 to 40 to turn back up. If that breaks, you want to get back above 50 to 87 to turn bullish. If we continue to fall and we lose 5,200, we're easily going back down towards the low 5,100s, 5,150, then eventually much lower levels. With the bearish divergence forming and this big rejection off this flag, this is suggesting downside is more imminent. We're going to likely see a big dip all the way down towards 5,100. I think that's more likely for ES. For the SPX chart, I want to say that we're looking more bearish right now. Um, if you look at this, we're making lower highs and lower lows. We had this high up here. We made a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and a lower low all over again. Also, notice on SPX, we're looking bearish on the PPO. And then we also have this gap to fill all the way down here towards 5184. So look at resistance around 5267. If that breaks, we could turn higher. If we reject, we'll be dipping back down lower. I think there's a good chance of us dipping all the way down to the 5100s, the lower 5100s. So I think the odds are favoring us going down to 5175 and potentially even lower to 5127. I think we're going to be looking for a dip on SPX. The chart is looking more bearish. How about for Nvidia? Well, if Nvidia wants to be bullish, you want to break past at least 104. Get back above 104 and we could turn back up. If we're bearish, you want to see us basically lose support around 97.5, suggesting that, with the trend that we saw, I think that the double top is giving us more and more insights of a downward trend that's forming. When you zoom out of Nvidia, as you guys can see, we're continuing to downtrend. We had this lower high here, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and lower low that's likely coming. So it looks to me like we have a double top like structure. Make sure you watch 97 for confirmation, but this suggests that downside is coming down to 93. That's looking more favorable for Nvidia, in my opinion. It looks like we have a double top. For something else, such as NQ, NQ has a bearish divergence, is also rejecting. We got to reclaim 18,200 to turn back up. Otherwise, the chart is favoring the downside. We also have this imbalance to fall down here towards 17,500. So this is looking a little more bearish, in my opinion. Look for a little rebound and a continuation lower. And I think we could be dipping towards 17,750, if not this imbalance down here towards 17,500. So I think downside is looking more imminent, and I favor that in my personal opinion. NQ might be dipping even lower. For other factors out there like not just NQ but also the QQQ, we're seeing a very similar trend. The QQQ needs to reclaim 442 to turn back up, at least 442. If we were to reclaim that, there would be an attempt for this to try to rebound, and so far there's no sign of that. There's no sign of us actually breaking through that. On top of this, I just want to mention that with the move that we're seeing, I also believe that in order for us to try to bounce, we have to try to get back above 440. We're still below all of those. Now, lose 430, we're dipping all the way down towards 423. The chart's now suggesting we're going to be dipping down to 423 to this imbalance. I think the QQQ is looking weaker now, and there's a lot of fear right now involving the Middle East and all the news that's coming out. For Apple has resistance around this 210 area. If we break that, we could be pushing higher. And if we're bearish, you want to see it basically lose 205. One thing that's happening to Apple is we're just kind of like consolidating. Notice how we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My guts tells me we might be dipping down to about 205 and just consolidate. We're just kind of stuck right now. We had this like range that was developing and we're not really doing a whole lot. So I believe Apple's going to dip a little bit to 205, just continue to consolidate, not really do a whole lot. So that's all I'm really seeing on the chart for the time being. For Palantir, I just want to mention that this is also forming a double top like structure. If we fail to hold 26, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards 24. If we break above 26.5, we could try to bounce. I want to make it very, very clear that we are looking kind of bearish though. With the double top that's forming, this double top, and there's a risk of us dipping all the way down to this imbalance towards 24. But look for 26 to break for confirmation. Just know this chart is still suggesting the downside is imminent. For Supermicro, we're also looking more bearish. We got this nice little liquidity grab for them to smack this thing back down. We got to reclaim 520 to turn back up. If we fail to do so, this is going to likely rebound a bit and start dipping all the way down towards the 450 area. So I think downside is looking more favorable for Supermicro. For Rivian, we got to reclaim at least 14.34 to turn back up. But if you look at the trend, we're looking bearish. I think this is going to be dipping all the way down to about 13.3, if not 13.1. So we had this high here, we had a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This also looks like a bearish distributive structure. This kind of looks like an inverted cup and handle. I think we're easily going down to about 13 points, 13.3, then eventually the low 13s. Looks bearish to me. For SoFi, we're looking bearish. We're kind of rejecting off our 50 EMA. We got to reclaim 6.56 to turn back up. Otherwise, this is suggesting we're going to be dipping all the way down towards 6.08. For the IWM, got another rejection. We got to reclaim 205 to turn back up. We did not hold above 207, so this is suggesting downside. I think there's a good chance we dip all the way down to 198. So there's a good chance that's going to happen. I want everyone to be very careful and very mindful of that. So we'll have to see how things end up going. With that being said, guys, be careful with the IWM. Small caps are continuing to dip, and I think that there's a risk of us dipping down towards 198. So just be careful. For AMD, we're looking a little bit more bearish. We have a bearish structure right over here as we're making lower highs and lower lows. If you look at the structure like this, and then we also have a double top rejection. We got to reclaim 132 to turn back up, but this is likely going to be dipping all the way down towards 124. So I think that's more favorable in my opinion. ARM has a bearish divergence. We got to reclaim basically 112 to turn back up. And I think that the odds are favoring the downside. If we fail to hold above 105, I think there's a good chance we dip all the way down towards 102, then eventually 100. So I favor downside on ARM. For Coinbase, we're going to be looking for basically a test of 185. If that breaks, we're going to be turned bullish. If not, we're going to be dipping. I think it might pop a little bit and start dipping. But then if we get that rejection, we could be dipping back down to about 169. Look for a rebound and a rejection as the most likely possibilities, and I favor the downside nonetheless. Amazon needs to reclaim 165 to turn back up. Otherwise, it's going to dip lower. I think it's going to be testing 160. If that fails, 158 is likely coming, if not lower. I think it's going to be dipping a little bit, just a little bit, and we'll see if it develops into anything big or not. So I do anticipate a little bit of downside at the very least. Meta is losing its 200 EMA. We got to try to hold above 484 to turn back up. Otherwise, this is easily going back down towards 476. If that fails us, we're going to be dipping even lower. So Meta is looking a little bit more bearish to me. For Microsoft, are kind of rejecting as well. We got to reclaim 402 to turn back up. Otherwise, the chart is suggesting downside all the way down to 393, if not lower levels like the 380s. For Google, we rejected off our 50 EMA. There's a good chance this dips lower. We could be looking for a move all the way down towards 157. I favor the downside as well. GameStop is looking kind of bearish. Distributive structure is developing. We got to reclaim 21 to turn back up. Otherwise, this favors a move back down towards 19.6. AMC is no different. We have a bearish structure as well. We need to reclaim 5.06 to turn back up. Otherwise, we're dipping back down to 4.5. And then DJT is dipping as well, looking a little bit more bearish. Could be retesting 25 flat. The VIX might try to bounce as we have that big gap to fill above, and we're holding above our key EMAs. But wait for confirmation. If we hold above 27.18, that's going to be a bad sign, at least for the markets, a good sign for the VIX. And the 10 year is also increasing in value because the Fed is not expected to be as dovish as what the market initially thought. The Fed is not announcing an emergency meeting, for example. That's why the yields are going up again. That's something that's very important. So, in all honesty, the market looks bearish. We attempted to balance. We tried this rebound only to get a big rejection. So, the charts are now suggesting downside at the time I'm recording this. I know, guys, that sometimes in the morning I might say that, yes, the market is looking like it's trying to push, and the market will push. I did call out upside, for instance, but then intraday, sometimes the market could completely flip in a second. And if the market flips, I'll let you guys know if that were to happen when I give you guys my updates. My updates are not going to be green, 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 bullish, bullish, bullish every single time. One day we could be bullish to start off, then we could turn bearish. The market could flip flop like crazy. It happens all the time. Just look at these charts. We have ups, we have downs, we have ups, we have downs. The market is very volatile. So that's the honest truth. I wish that the market was more consistent, but it is what it is. And all I can say is just I wish the best for everyone. So know that the charts are suggesting more downside is coming. Please be calm, cool, and collected through everything. I'll be back tomorrow to give you guys another update before the market opens. So please have a great night, day, and evening. I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. Peace out.